If you've never really used classes in JavaScript, then this video is for you. Watch on and I'll show you exactly how to create and use them. At the end of the video, I'll reveal the sneaky secret lurking behind ES6 classes. ES6 introduced a whole host of new features into JavaScript. One of these was the class syntax. It gives us a way of defining classes in JavaScript, which is similar to more traditional object-oriented languages such as Java. We're going to create a class to represent a user. A class is basically used to model an entity in the system, both its data and its functionality. So what data would a user have? A basic user would have, let's say, an email and a password. So we start with the class keyword to denote that this will be a class. We will call our class user, and by convention the name of the class should have its first letter uppercased. This is only convention. Not doing this won't result in an error, but it would be bad practice and make it harder for others to understand your code. Then we encase the body of the class in curly braces. We can optionally add a special sort of function called a constructor. We denote this by calling the function constructor. Note, we don't use the function keyword within a class, we just have the name, then the arguments in parentheses, and then curly braces with the function body. We'll have our constructor take two arguments, email and password. Next we assign email to this.email, and then password to this.password. Within a class, this is used to refer to the current instance of the class. I'll get to instances in a moment. So we're basically saying that this instance has a property email, and then we're assigning it the value of the email argument, and the same thing for password. Like I said, entities, or objects if you like, within the system have data, and this defines the data for our user. So our class is a template for a user, but it's not an actual specific user. To have a specific user, we need to create an instance of the class. We do this by creating a new variable user, lowercase, and assigning it the value of doing new user, uppercase, and passing in the email address and password as arguments. Now let's just console.log our user and see what we get. So you can see the user is an object with properties set for email and password as specified by the arguments we gave. And now if we do console.log user.email, we can see that the email is indeed the one we set as expected. So creating a new instance of the user class has created a user object for us. So what it is classes are the definition, or if you like, the blueprint, and objects are the specific instance of constructing a new object based on the blueprint. Let's take a look at what's happening when we run this code. The new keyword tells us we're not just calling a function, but we're creating a new object instance by calling a constructor. So when we use new, JavaScript will create a new object for us. It will then run the constructor in the context of this new object. All this means is that this variable we use within the class will be the new object. So our new object gets email and password properties set, and then gets assigned to the user variable. So you can think of the user variable as being the same variable as this. At the start of the video, I said that classes define not just data, but also functionality. We've covered the data, now let's look at the functionality. So we want a function to be able to authenticate a user. So just under the constructor within the class, we add authenticate. Again, no function keyword. And we also need, I've missed out the function arguments, we need email and password. Then inside the function body, all we're going to do is return true if the username and password given match the ones set on the current object, that is again this variable, otherwise we're going to return false. Again, note the use of this to access the current instance of the object that this function is running on. So now we've got this function, we can call it, and we do that again by doing user.authenticate. This ensures that the authenticate function runs in the context of the user object, so the value of this in the authenticate function when it runs is again the value of the user object. So user.authenticate just means call the authenticate function belonging to this user object in the context of this user object. And if we run this, we see that the first call to authenticate returns true as we gave the right details, and the second one returns false as we gave the wrong details. So with this user class, we could go on to create as many user instances as we wanted, each with their own username and password. I mentioned in the beginning of the video that classes in ES6 are a little bit sneaky. This is because classes as such don't really exist in JavaScript. The class syntax is just syntactic sugar, and under the surface this is all implemented with prototypal inheritance. If you don't know what this is, feel free to Google JavaScript prototypal inheritance, as it's out of the scope of this video. Later in the week, join me again when I'll be showing you a way to extend classes in JavaScript and be talking a bit about inheritance. I have new videos going out regular as clockwork every Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday at 9 AM Eastern Time. Click that subscribe button now and don't miss them.